Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight. I'm Judith Kova, and today Wayne Bush is back. And yeah, we are going to talk a little bit about the traps and pitfalls in the astral plane. His website is Tricked by the Light, and I'm very happy to have him back. So, Wayne, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me back on your show, Judith. I think this information is critically important. I've had this article up for like 4 months and it hasn't generated any interest. So I'm glad that you wanted to talk about it because it's pretty important.
Yeah,
I
it
mean, most
is.
of the stuff is things that I've already said before, but I think he's got some really interesting tips and tricks on how to avoid these entities through his astral projection, which I've only had one or two, and so I'm not I'm not an expert in the field. So, but this is a guy that's had like he says like 130 or more. So it's pretty interesting.
I read that you thought that you would, yeah, how shall I say, that you regret naming the website Tricked by the Light. Why is that?
Oh, it's kind of a negative spin. People like to use that as, oh, it's negative, and so you're spreading fear and paranoia, and so I don't know. It's kind of a victim mentality, I guess. And so if we really are sovereign, then it's we're kind of giving our power away. But I don't I'm not so sure we were tricked into it as much as we just were either bored or wanted to come here for experience and adventure. Like if we're infinite eternal beings, then there might be all kinds of different things we would like to experience. And so this may be more like a reality TV show or a game that we decide to play. And of course, it's obviously a very challenging one. Maybe you get bored with the easy stuff, and maybe from that perspective, it's just a blink of an eye. But anyway, I do kind of regret. I mean, I would rather maybe I should have named it Transcending the Light, or it's not necessarily that the light is necessarily a bad choice. I mean, if that's what some people like it here, and some people do better than others here on Earth with their life. But for me and for others, I think there's better places you can go to. I just recently read a near-death experience where the person said that they were told that there's many worlds or places that are less evolved than Earth, but there's also many that are more advanced and more evolved. And so they were shown like one of each. And so I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think there's many better places that we could go to than here. So but yeah, I kind of regret maybe naming it Tricked by the Light. I mean, that was 20 years ago that I first put up the website. So
I personally am very happy that you named it like that because it makes it very clear right from the get-go that there might be something wrong with the light. And in general, right, we associate light with something good. Yeah, that is, I guess, right, how most of us are wired. But if you really do not want to come here anymore, then yeah, it's probably a good idea to have a second look at that light.
Right. Explore what options are available or possible.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't, you can't put a question mark in your URL or your domain name. So, I mean, if I could, I would name it Tricked by the Light with a question mark.com. But yeah, can't do that.
So is it the gentleman that sent you his experiences? How did that happen? He just knew about you, or?
I'm not sure how he found out about me or where he came across my work. I didn't ask him. And so he just wrote me an email, and I could read the email if you like. But he basically said that I was right, that the light's a trap. And so that he said he's been having out of body experiences for about 4 years. And he's seen all kinds of things. And so he went into a lot of detail as to what he's experienced and why he thinks, the light's a trap, and some of the entities and how to avoid them. So, and then we just got into going back and forth with emails, and I would ask him some questions just to confirm. And almost all the information he was giving me was stuff I've already said, but then he started getting in, but it was from an experiential point of view. He's been there and done it, supposedly. So, and then he started telling me stuff that I haven't said on the website. So that's when he started getting on into other things that I thought, well, let me put this in an article and put it out there, because it's more validation. This is somebody's actually is an out of body experiencer. So it's confirmation.
Mm-hmm. But he never had a near-death experience. Is that correct? It's just his, no, just is just, I shouldn't say just. It's his out-of-body experiences, yeah?
Yeah, he hasn't mentioned having a near-death experience. I don't think he has.
Mm-hmm.
But 140, he said he's had out-of-body experiences for 4 years. And then he said that he has about 3 a week. And yesterday I did the math. I'm like, well, if he's having 3 a week, that's 150 a year. If it's been 4 years, he should have like 600, but maybe he's having them more and more frequently. Maybe in the beginning it wasn't so often, which I'm assuming that's the case. And then he's also had lucid dreams too, which are kind of close to being out of body, because you can take control of it and do a lot of things too. So
yeah,
they kind of overlap in a way.
I've read one statement by him, and he says, when someone is near death, the beings that run the whole reincarnation system descend on them like vultures. So who are those beings? And is there, let's say, are there some symptoms that the outside observer could see? Let's say you are with somebody that is near death.
I was with my grandma when my parents put her in hospice care. Mm-hmm. She was near death, and so I took off work, and I was with her for, I don't know, 7 or 10 days. And she was talking to somebody that wasn't there, and she told me that there was a man there, and she was like telling him when she was born and what her name was, and like, oh yeah, that's my grandson Wayne. It's like, it's almost like they're like trying to identify and make sure, okay, yeah, this is the right person that we're supposed to come get, And so to me, that was definitely a symptom or a sign. I don't know if you mean from our viewpoint or from their viewpoint, but yeah, a lot of people will start seeing the veil. I think it's thinner at that point between the physical and the astral.
Did he mention anything to you, or who those beings are, apart from the archons that are descending on the dying individual like vultures?
No, he just basically called them negative entities, and that he thinks that we all have the capability to manifest stuff in the afterlife or in the astral plane, and so that I guess he feels that some of them are just having one over on us. But I mean, I could go through what he feels his main theory is about. I mean, he mentions the demiurge and archons and how I mean, it's pretty much the same thing that I've postulated. But if you want, I can kind of walk through. I've got like different categories that I've broken up his information into, because it's hard for me off the top of my head just to. And I haven't been like reading it or studying it or anything, so I don't really feel prepared like I could just off the top of my head, say what he said. So. But basically, he felt that we were like all one consciousness at one point. I call it the monad, and that it split up and was having experiences through different perspectives, and that eventually it just started. More and more rules and regulations were invented, and But if you want, I can go through it.
Yeah, sure. Was there something that stood out to you in in
What
in
stood out the most?
all his experiences that he shared with you?
What stood out the most? I think just all the different ways he had to avoid the entities. Like he would put up shields and put a helmet on his head to block, their transmissions, or he would have these superhuman godlike powers like Superman or the Flash, and so you could like run really fast to get away, or he have superhuman strength, but eventually he would just ignore them, or felt that you could set an intention, and that was the best way, was just to set an intention that they can't affect you. And so I mean, most of the other stuff, because I don't have experience in this area, being over there on the other side. And I mean, like myself, he said he's harassed a lot in dreams. I think we probably all can identify with that, but he felt that this is an energy farm, and that they are these entities are, that they're half AI, or well, the demiurge is like half AI, and that these entities are, we talked a little bit about thought forms and how they can be created, and they take on a life of their own, and they need to feed. And that's what they do with us, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Mhm. How
So,
do
but
we
yeah, I mean,
create
as
it?
far as everything he said,
How do we
how do we
create
create
it?
it? Just with, I'm sorry, I can't hear.
How do we create a thought form?
Oh, it's just with your thought. It's a thought form. So if you have the thought, I mean, it's just everything over there on the other side is basically intention, imagination, and so and then to bring it, I guess, into reality, you have to have a thought backed with an intention, and I guess desire kind of goes in and with that hand in hand, so. But he said you can, anything that you create, you can uncreate. So if it goes haywire or gets out of control, it's kind of like an etch a sketch. You can create it, but then and which I thought that was also very important information to know, that that way you're less fearful about creating your own afterlife or your own world. But you could also go to other places where there's like a consensus that other people have already created a place, and so you can go join them. But that if you create one by yourself, you got more power and control over it. Whereas if you're with a reality that's been created by or co-created by many spirits, then you have less, I guess, say in what takes place there.
Mhm. Okay, then go ahead.
Okay, well, here's the introductory email he sent. He said, "Hey, I've been following your work for a while now. You're absolutely right about the light being a trap. I've been having out of body experiences for about 4 years now, and I've seen things most people can't imagine, including the light. At present, I've seen it 7 times, both in dreams and out of body experiences. Every time I see the light, it tries to wipe my memory, unsuccessfully, of course. I found that everyone has the ability to wipe their own memory or someone else's memory in the afterlife. I've tried it on myself and it worked. It caused my memories to start fading. The thing is that if you try to wipe someone else's memory and they don't want you to, they can resist through sheer force of will. This is why they can't wipe my memory. It's kind of like the Jedi mind trick. It only works on the weak mind. So for me, the light is bad because it tries to memory wipe people against their will, which I consider to be
One
a form
second.
of psychic rape." Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Did I hear that correctly? It is the light itself that wipes the mind.
That's what he said. Yeah, he said every time he
Mhm.
gets near it, it tries to wipe it. But I mean, it's not just the light, but entities can try to do it. I mean, he said that you can selectively do it yourself too. But yeah, but yeah, he said he says for me the light is bad because it tries to memory wipe people against their will.
Okay.
He says it doesn't usually do this during near death experiences, but there are a few in which it has. Most likely, these guys can tell whether someone is only temporarily dead or permanently dead, and they proceed accordingly. If they know someone is temporarily dead, they will most likely feed them a bunch of BS to reinforce a religious belief system. If they are permanently dead, they will most likely roll out the memory wipe to prepare them for reincarnation. In my case, I think they're testing me to see if the memory wipe will even work, which it doesn't. So anyway, about my experiences with the light, as I said, I've seen it 7 times. 2 of those times it tried to pull me in. The first time the light itself was pulling me in. The second time there were invisible entities trying to pull me to the light. Both times I was easily able to get away and got the hell out of there. I have considerable experience navigating the afterlife and dealing with negative entities. That's why I was so easily able to evade the light. A near-death experiencer, unfortunately, wouldn't have my knowledge and skill, so it would be harder for them, but they could still evade the light if they realized what was going on and didn't want any part in it. One thing I should point out is that there isn't just one light. There are a lot of lights. I've seen them have different shapes, colors, etc. My guess is the light is a construct someone created to fool people. In the afterlife, thought creates reality. So creating something like the light would not be difficult. I've had out-of-body experiences where I created entire worlds. Anyway, I hope this information helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email. So I did. So one of the categories I've broken down was he talks about dreams and lucid dreams and OBEs and what's the difference between them. And so he said, I've had about 130 OBEs, give or take, but I have lucid dreams all the time too. I found that using my abilities is the same between lucid dreams and OBEs. In OBEs, everything is just way more real because I'm much more awake. In the astral, the further away from the physical body you get, the more clearer the experience becomes and the more control you have. I felt liberated, and it's so peaceful over there. When you're dreaming, it's possible to take control of it and go wherever you want, but you have to be awake enough to do that. How aware I am depends on how awake I am. If you can wake up during dream states, all kinds of interesting things happen. If you're dreaming and you wake up more, you're now having a lucid dream. If you wake up even more, you have an out of body experience. Dreams are just low awareness, out of body experiences. I've had dreams turn into OBEs and OBEs turn into dreams. I have had more lucid dreams than I do OBEs. He says there is even more evidence that dreams and OBEs are connected. When we're dreaming, we're really sleepwalking around the astral plane. He said, I've had dreams that turned into super hyper real OBEs. So it got me thinking, what if the physical world is just another dream, a really crappy one, but a dream nonetheless? The only reason we think it's real is because we come back to it when we wake up. But I just had a dream, had an OBE in the dream, and then woke up in the dream. So the physical world is probably just another dream. If you make use of both lucid dreams and OBEs, you can learn things a lot faster. I usually have about 3 OBEs a week, if not more. The truth is, everyone has out of body experiences when they fall asleep. The trick is to either stay awake while your body falls asleep or to wake back up afterwards. I had one last week where I was half awake and all of a sudden I started floating toward the ceiling. Usually, though, I just fall asleep and wake up in another reality. I've noticed that when you're half asleep and you stop perceiving things through your physical senses, that there's a phase shift that happens where you switch to your astral senses. I find that lucid dreams are a good time to practice the skills I use during OBEs. If you can learn to get good at flying, teleportation, shape shifting, manifesting, etc., during lucid dreams, you won't have any trouble using those abilities when you start having OBEs. You can practice doing crazy superpower that you've seen people do on TV. Flying is fun, but running down the street at supersonic speeds is pretty damn awesome. When I'm out of body, I can be in 2 or more places at once. I can also time travel at will. With abilities like that, it's easy to be where and when you want to be. I probably only still barely scratched the surface of what's possible to do in the afterlife. I'll have to keep practicing. So here, a little section I've created where he talks about the white light and the mind wipe and the entities, I guess, that kind of feed off us in a soul farm. So he said, I've run into the white light a few more times. It's pretty easy to get away from. So when people see the light, they're just seeing something that these guys created. The matrix is created by the subconscious mind and is run by an AI. When there is a glitch in the system or someone is defying the rules of the matrix, the AI tries to put a stop to it. And when someone tries to raise their vibration, the AI notices and tries to throw negative energy in situations at them to try to put them in a negative state of mind, because the matrix is a negative energy farm. When we drop dead, there are entities that try to trick us into reincarnating. They show up as disguised as people you know, angels, guides, religious figures, God, etc. I've seen this in the astral. So negative entities trick people into reincarnating and then use the matrix to control them so they can feed on their energy. I think I know why so many people get tricked when they drop dead. Their subconscious mind is programmed to send them to soul farm. So they program their subconscious mind to send them to a soul farm where they're tricked into reincarnating. Those that don't go to soul farms were most likely tricked by the white light. I've run into the white light a couple dozen times during OBs. Once you know what it is, avoiding it is easy. When you leave the physical world, you can go anywhere, but they use your subconscious mind to try to send you to a soul farm. But you can override the programming and go somewhere else. He said, I just had another insane dream. I was in some place that looked like a hospital, but it was dark and creepy. Then someone injected me with something that made it so I couldn't move. Then they put me in a cage, like a bird cage. Then they made the most hideous faces to scare me. They were feeding off my fear. I could sense the energy they were feeding on, and it was on a very, very low frequency. I can
Can we
still sense
pause?
it actually, and it's pretty. Mm-hmm.
And because I have a question, I had one for,
Okay.
for quite a
All
while.
right.
So
Oh yeah, just whenever you have some comment or question,
yeah,
just jump
yeah.
right
No,
in.
I typed it into the chat, but I guess you didn't look at the other screen.
No, I'm reading off the text here.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't see what you're
Okay.
doing.
So did I hear that correctly? That did he say that the AI is controlling and running the astral?
I think that's what he said. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's they're, you know, when we think of angels or you can put it different names, you know, they're aliens, they're AI. I do think it's sort of an AI. At least the demiurge is like when the Gnostic texts talk about the demiurge, they say he's without spirit. And to me, without spirit kind of implies that it's an artificial intelligence. Yeah, I concur with that.
Okay.
But yeah, he did. Yeah, he said that.
Okay.
So he said the entities that feed off this type of energy are unbelievably sick. So here he talks a little bit about the demiurge. He says, I ran into what I think was the demiurge in a dream. I was in this town and this white light appeared in the mine. The light had a face in it. It said that if everyone didn't leave town, the light would grow to encompass the whole town. So everyone got in their cars, but just as I was about to leave, I saw a guy with a beard in one of the houses through a window. He says that he is impressed that I made it this far. He tells me that he's really one of the townspeople from the future. I never saw him, though. He sent automated contraptions after me. I managed to evade his traps. So the way I look at it is these beings are no different than me or you, except they have bad intentions and are very good at deceiving people. I think some of them are just thought forms, though. I ran into the Greys recently, and they have minds like a computer. So they may be just thought forms that are controlled remotely by some entity. They were mostly mindless machines. This guy was only half AI. He had a mind that was like half AI, half human, for lack of a better word. And it was like he was some kind of distortion, one that feeds on distorted energy. He took a distorted form because he was distorted. Whatever he hears it is, feeds on energy as distorted as it is. Hence all the misery in the world. The other entities that are part of this system either work for him or at the very least know about him. He can be in a lot of different places at once. I could sense the demiurge in the room with me. I knew that it had concocted that scenario. I'm sure it was him. I can sense entities even when they are invisible or in disguise. He looked like an old man with white hair and a white beard. So this is me interjecting here. So like, I think, you know, I've kind of given the demiurge a really bad rap, but on the other hand, I've also said in this interview I had with a near-death experiencer who met the demiurge, he said that the system that he created here is basically 2/3 light, right? So by that definition, the demiurge would be
dead
mostly
light.
good, right? You know, and so yeah, and so anyway, what I think is the demiurge is he's just doing his job, right? I mean, that's his job, is to create this game, this show, this whatever, this world, and it's not entirely bad, you know. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up, that he's not 100% entirely evil. He's just, and I think he's just doing his job. He's what he's programmed to do. He's either AI or half AI. So anyway,
but
he was talking more and more about him.
I have no heart warm feelings for the demiurge. No, 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 no. And
yeah, no, me neither.
Because he created a
so anyway, he says,
and he should know that. He, she, it, whatever.
But there may be an ulterior reason or motive for why that is. I mean, maybe we
then I would like to know
participate
that
in this, and we volunteered to come. Huh? Well, but according to the near-death experiencer, he said that there's all these people that get in line to come here. It's like the greatest show. It's the only show in, around for miles, and there's a long, long, long line of people that want to come. Life's not all bad. There's some great. For me, the problem is the 99% of it's just mundane and largely uneventful, and there's a lot of suffering and work and stuff that has to be done, and the truly happy moments you have are just little spikes here and there. So yeah, I basically agree with you on that note. So anyway, he's talking about this new energy that's hitting the earth is challenging it, the demiurge, and eventually will replace it. And when that happens, the whole system will fall because its energetic foundation will have been eroded and eventually replaced. When you see harmony, you're seeing a lack of influence by the demiurge. Where you see chaos, you're seeing the demiurge itself. But he said there's another force at work that's restoring harmony to the world. And here's a section where he talks a little bit what he feels is the origin or the nature of this reality. So that'll kind of tie in with what I think you were mentioning before. He says, as far as I can tell, we're all one consciousness experiencing itself from billions, if not more, points of view. Some people aren't real people, though. They're just constructs meant to look like people and fill in the background. That being said, in the afterlife, no one can force you to give up your freedom or individuality. Here's my theory on how it all works. In the beginning, if there is such a thing, everything was one consciousness. Then that consciousness fragmented into billions of different pieces so it could experience reality from many different points of view. This part I knew. Here's the interesting part. Originally, the worlds created by these points of view, aka people, had no limitations. Then these fragments over time created worlds with more and more limitations. Most of them were still pretty nice. Then the people that inhabited them made rules about things that you could and couldn't do, things like flying and teleporting. Eventually, this led to physical-like worlds. They had rules and they had things people weren't allowed to do, but they were still really nice. Eventually, some nasty entities got it in their head to create an even more limited reality, one where it would be much easier to control people, and that's where the physical world came from. Unlike the more limited but nicer afterlife world, the physical world imposed much more extreme limitations on anyone foolish enough to go there. These limitations are also a lot harder to override. In the more limited afterlife worlds, you can override the limitations. In the physical world, people can to some extent, but it's not easy. People just kept piling on more and more limitations until they created something crazy like the physical world. We or someone like us created this insane world, most likely some control freak who wanted to create a world where they could more easily control people, because controlling people is really hard in the afterlife. And so here's a section I created
One
what he
second.
said on. Sure.
So when he says controlling people is harder in the afterlife, but
Yeah.
that would mean you can't control those who haven't been mind wiped, who were smart enough, because otherwise in the afterlife, if you go straight to the light, you get mind wiped. Of course you are being controlled.
Well, it's still a choice whether or not you want to go to the light. And once you get into that light, that's sort of in their domain, and they have more and more influence over you, kind of like hypnosis or
yeah, but many people might.
But part of the problem is people have these religious views and stuff where this is subconscious where they've been taught through religions that when they die, they're going to meet the maker and that they're going to be judged. Or if you're from the East, you might believe in karma and that you have to pay for things you've done. So because of these belief systems, people go there. And of course, like you were saying earlier, we've all been told the light's great and everything. So you see a light, you're in darkness. And as a little kid, you're afraid of the dark, and a lot of people will go to that light, but I don't think you have to. I think it is a choice. But once you do make that choice to go there, then it becomes very, very hard, I think, to get out of that situation, because they have ways of tempting you or scaring you, or if you believe in Jesus and he asks you to go back for a mission because he really wants you to. I mean, what devout Christian is going to say no to Jesus,
Yeah, that means that it is a good idea to smash all the belief structures before we die. Because what I
Absolutely.
hear from what I extrapolate from that is you will experience probably what you're convinced of. Yeah,
Right.
what you just said. Be it that you are a Hindu, a Christian, whatever. But, and I would say the majority will go toward the light because they don't know any better.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think if this all of reality is like a dream or consciousness, and I think it's based off of intent and belief systems and expectations and all that. So yeah, that whatever you believe and expect, that definitely, of course, desire plays into it some, but yeah, all that kind of creates whatever that afterlife reality is going to be, in my opinion. So here's a section where he talks about um, the matrix itself and the energy fields that create it. So he says, we created it and then forgot we created it, and some nasty negative entity called the demiurge took the credit. Someone designed the damn thing so that people would feel pain. He said, the archons are using our energy that they harvested from us to program the matrix the way they want to. The energy they used is energy they harvested from us. So I realized that they were using our energy to program the matrix, but we can wake up and take control instead of having our reality dictated to us. The physical world is a super dense, programmed dream world. The entire system of control is based on a limited reality program. Everyone has their own reality bubble, and that when we interact with other people, if we try to impose our will on them, which is bad, we are energetically trying to overwrite their reality. This must also be why the elite tell us their plans. We are sovereign beings. They have no right to interfere in our reality, so they tell us in entertainment. But if you see it and don't consent, they have no right to impose on your reality. The matrix is an illusion. It's not physical. It just uses programmed energy fields to create the illusion that it is when it isn't. It's created by energy fields. Solid objects are really just energy contained in something like a force field. The outside surface of objects is maintained by rigidly controlled force fields. There's a force that is actively maintaining their shape. The only reason the physical world seems physical is because there's an energy field that blankets the planet that creates the illusion that it's physical when it isn't. If you can see through this energy field, you'll see that it's just a dream world. So seemingly physical objects are really just light shaped by force fields. The physical world is just another afterlife world. It's a dense programmed consensus reality created by the subconscious minds of the population. The reason it seems so limited is because the programming is being enforced by the subconscious minds of the population, but we can take conscious control and turn it into a paradise. The matrix is created by layers of programmed energy fields and is run by an AI. It is created by the subconscious minds of the population and run by an AI. The AI uses the grid to try to make sure the negative and positive energies don't go too far out of balance. It's maintained in a state of duality. The matrix is literally just a bunch of energy fields that has no solidity and is not physical. There's an energy field that tries to make the physical world seem physical when it isn't. That's an illusion. There's an energy field that makes the physical world dense, an energy field that makes objects and people more dense. I can sense it with my psychic abilities. There's a grid system that runs through the planet and into our homes. There are also huge negative energy fields in the atmosphere. We are bathed in these energy fields, and most people don't even know that they are there, probably because one of those energy fields tries to suppress psychic abilities, but you can override it easily. There's also an energy field that suppresses the psychic abilities and makes it difficult for people in the astral to interact with us. An energy field that suppresses psychic abilities, which is why I didn't sense that an energy field was making the physical world dense. There was an energy field that tries to suppress these psychic abilities and make it difficult for us to interact with ghosts and entities and people in the astral. There's an energy field that tries to wipe dream memories, that tries to stop the download of memories of dreams, lucid dreams, and OBEs. The physical world isn't physical. I can sense that as just dense energy shaped by something similar to force fields. It's basically a holodeck, just not a technological one. It's created by the subconscious minds of the population. There's energy fields that hold us in the physical body. I was practicing raising my vibration, and I could sense a very dense energy field that holds us to the physical body. Everything is just vibrating energy. The physical world is on a low vibration. So when you raise your vibration, you start to go out of phase with it. Raise your vibration so that you're no longer on its frequency and you shift out of it. I practiced neutralizing the energy field that holds me in a physical body, and I was able to do it, but I felt like I was dying. When I raise my vibration, the energy field spins faster. So I know I can manipulate the energy field that holds us to the physical body. Compared to that, manipulating this energy field is easy because it's a lot less dense. But it's the key to understanding how the matrix works and how to leave without having to go through a painful death. The reason why the physical world is so dense is because there's an energy field making more dense. He says, when I make myself less dense, the AI has tried to use energy fields to make me more dense. But apparently, there's an energy field that is on most of the time that tries to keep things dense. The matrix is an elaborate hoax created by layers of energy fields and keep you there are energy fields that try to keep you ignorant of those energy fields and your perception within the five senses. And there are energy fields that try to mind control you and impose programming on you. I started having an out of body experience and could feel the energy field that holds you to the physical body. It's like it has rings that go around the physical body. The matrix has levels that extend into other dimensions, and then there is the matrix grid that runs through the planet that the elite use to transmit negative energy. I was able to neutralize it with love. So the matrix is a complex energetic control system. It has layers of energetic programming to try to prevent you from seeing it's a matrix. If people figure out that it isn't physical and it's really just energy, they may try to manipulate it with their mind. If they learn to make it less dense, it could bring down the control system.
Yeah,
So
good. Wait a bit.
yeah.
So you said something that, okay, they have to tell us, be it in entertainment or whatever, what they are going to do. Otherwise, they have no right to infringe on our lives.
It also makes it easier for them to convince us. If that has to be their MO, like if they don't have the power to do it over us, like if we're all sovereign beings and have absolute power, the only way they can get us to do it would be by somehow convincing us to do it, you know. So I think that's easier for them to manipulate us that way. And so yeah, I think also some of them believe that the karma won't come back, the negative karma won't come back to them because they can say, well, we told them and they did it, so we're not
So,
held,
okay, what
accountable
then
for that.
happens when we say no?
If we say no, then like we won't have to come back here. I mean, if you like I said, I mean, they get us to with our belief systems and our through religion and politics and everything else and entertainment, to get us to adopt these beliefs, and so we're more easily controlled and manipulated into doing what they want us to do,
Hmm.
because they don't have the power to do it just straight out,
But here in 3D, it has no consequences whatsoever when we say no.
Oh, and the 3D, if we say no, I do that all the time. Like if I feel like something's trying to manipulate me, or I have a bad thought or
Yeah.
something, or fear or something like that, I'll just mentally in my head, I'll scream no. Like I'm not going to allow that to happen. And I don't know if it works or not, but I do it all the time.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, because I have seen a lot of infringement, let's say roughly the last 2 years.
yeah, right,
and,
right, right.
and a lot of people said no, but it doesn't matter.
Well, I think once you sign up to come here, you volunteer to come here, then you do make you there's contracts that are involved in this. And he didn't mention anything about contracts, but you hear some near death experiencers talk about it, and so you make agreements to come down here, and part of those agreements are to probably you're making a commitment to go through this experience, and it may be bad, right? And so we just kind of signed off our consent before we came here.
Yeah,
It's like
but you can revoke those contracts.
yeah, but it's not super duper easy. So yeah, I mean that still remains to be seen. I've revoked the contracts myself, and I've done things like that, but I'm still having bad things happen. So I mean, either I'm not doing it right, or it's not as easy, or it's not possible. So,
It
but
is
yeah,
possible. Of course, it is
okay, well,
possible.
right. So anyway, he talks a little bit about the role of the subconscious, and he says the truth is what you see is just a thought form. If you're alone in your own world, your subconscious will manifest stuff. Sometimes you're in space or just an empty void. Either way, the world is created entirely by you. You can take control of this process and manifest what you want. But if you don't, your subconscious will at least manifest something, unless you find yourself in a consensus reality created by other beings. In that case, you will see and interact with the world that they have created. You can change these type of places, but as soon as you stop focusing on the changes, they will revert back to the way they were. Whereas if it's just you in your own world, you can make it whatever you want it to be. But the real problem is the subconscious hive mind. The subconscious minds of the population are propping up the matrix. The subconscious hive mind is the backbone of the matrix and creates reality. When enough people wake up and see that, we can put an end to this madness. We just need to wake up and realize that, and we can reprogram the matrix into a paradise.
So let's say you have a group of really dedicated humans that are focusing on bringing that energy grid down, which makes up the matrix. Then would the rest of the population fall out of their slumber?
They certainly might, because if we can demonstrate and show them what is possible, then they'll either get super fearful and come and attack and destroy it, or they will say, hey, wait a minute, we can do that too. I mean, I don't see why they wouldn't, because if we're, healing things and making things better, then I think they would want to do that too. So here's a section on using our godlike ability, our godlike superpowers in avoiding entities. So this is a good important one. He says, so it seems we really are gods who have been tricked into thinking we're ordinary people, but in the astral, we are capable of doing things that are godlike. Having superpowers is really awesome. It's really awesome to just try to do superpowers during lucid dreams and OBEs. You'll definitely learn really interesting ways to deal with negative entities, and you'll find there is nothing you can't do. The possibilities are endless. In the astral, no prison can hold you. No God can imprison another God. The only way they can imprison us is to trick us to reincarnate, but they can't make us do anything. And if we don't go along with them, there is nothing they can do. Their whole MO is to rule by deception. Anyone who has to use deception is not ruling from a place of strength. Quite the opposite. If they were more powerful than us, they wouldn't hide who they are or what their intentions are. I really am learning all of their tricks. I'm sure they're not happy about it. In fact, they frequently harass me in my dreams. They will often pose as dream characters, thinking I'm too stupid to figure it out, but I can sense their negative intentions toward me. They just try to scare me, but that didn't work very well. There was one time where I was being shot at during an OBE and I caught the bullets with my bare hands like Superman does. That was pretty cool. Then one time during an OB, I was in a cathedral and I wanted to get outside. So I flew straight up and smashed through the ceiling with super strength. I also once ripped a huge machine apart with my bare hands. I can choose not to be affected by the gravity of a black hole, and I've been able to zoom in with my vision. I also had a lucid dream where there were like 100 people trying to kill me. So I took off flying straight up, and I imagined that a miniature sun was forming below me, and it worked. Most likely, all my assailants were incinerated instantly. I also had a vivid lucid dream where I created a thought form to spar with. In one of the lucid dreams, I was in some kind of heaven world. I'm pretty sure it was one of their heaven worlds because they were trying to memory wipe me again. Obviously, it didn't work. To protect myself, I manifested a helmet to block the memory wipe. At first, it didn't seem to work. So, with intention, I cleared away all of the memory wipe energy that was inside the helmet. I used intention and cleared the memory wipe energy from inside the helmet, and it worked, and I could think more clearly. So I intended to teleport to the beach, and the next thing I know, I'm there. But then the cloud shows up again. So then I manifested an energy shield around me. And with intention, I cleared all the cloud's energy from inside the shield. So shields and armor are pretty useful for keeping things out. I once used the helmet to block the memory wipe. So if they tried this kind of crap, put up a shield and block them. I've learned how to block memory wipes and other psychic attacks that entities might try. I can just put up a mental barrier and the memory wipe can't get through it. I've also learned that I can just make myself immune to memory wipes and immune to the influence of other entities. You can neutralize energy that other energies project towards you. I've used this trick to neutralize memory wipes. I've had a few more interesting OBEs, and one of them, I was outside minding my own business when something pulled me off the ground and into the sky. So I fired 2 tendrils from my hand and they latched onto the ground. And I used them to pull myself down. Then in another OBE, some entities tried to teleport me somewhere without my permission, but they weren't able to because I didn't let them. In another OBE, I was on a couch somewhere. I heard entities nearby, so I pretended to be asleep. But one of them could sense that I was still awake. So I got up and put on a shield and then reached out my arms and spun around like Superman, hitting them all at once. He said in one other one, he imagined a white light around him made of love, and it radiated through the area. And it was a much higher frequency than the entity that was bothering him. After a few seconds, the entity was gone. So yeah, he's used love to repel a negative entity. It's a much more effective way to do so than to get into a fight with them. He said if you can become invisible and intangible, they wouldn't be able to catch you because there's nothing for them to grab onto. Combine that with teleportation and super speed, and they would never bother you again. If we can make ourselves intangible in the astral, maybe that is the key to avoiding all this crap. Maybe it's as simple as choosing not to be affected by people in the environment. You can just intend to not be influenced by other entities, then they won't be able to affect you. I found that's the best way to deal with them. So it's best to know as many tricks as you can. I recently had a lucid dream where some entity was trying to memory wipe me. So I just used the intention that memory wipes don't work on me. So you can pretty much intend not to be influenced by other entities and they won't be able to do jack to you. I ran into the white light in a lucid dream once, and I used the intention that entities can't influence me. As a result, the light had no effect on me. I ran into the white light before I learned to do this, and it actually grabbed me with tentacles and started pulling me somewhere. So I imagined that the tentacles were cut and it worked, and I was able to get free. Usually, though, when something tries to grab me, I just make myself intangible so they can't touch me. The real trick to controlling your reality and dealing with negative energy entities is to master your energy and reclaim your sovereignty. So revoking soul contracts is important. Any agreements you made with negative entities need to be revoked. It's a pretty simple process. You revoke the agreement, revoke any reinstatement clauses, and revoke any counterparty agreements held by other entities. See, I didn't do those things. Another thing that is important is cutting energy cords with negative people and entities. I cut energy cords with negative energies and got a surge of energy. Raising your vibration helps because you are more out of phase with anything negative, and negative entities won't want to be near you. Another important thing is healing traumas. There's a reason why they want people to be traumatized, because it rips holes in your energy field and it makes it easier for them to feed on your energy. Another thing that is important is to learn to control your reality bubble. When someone is trying to impose their will on you by force, they are energetically trying to pry into your reality. So you have to counter them energetically and push them out of your reality bubble. Another thing important to do is to clear your energy field of negative energy. You can do this by imagining high frequency white light around you. If you aren't putting out negative energy and you're on a high frequency and you don't have holes in your energy field or negative energy cords, negative entities aren't going to want to be around you. I keep practicing and keep getting better, because if I do run into the recycling crew when I drop dead, I will be ready for them. So
I
all
have
kinds of
one thing about cutting the energy cords. Yeah.
okay.
Maybe it's a better idea, because if you cut something, it can grow back.
Right.
And maybe it's better to, yeah, I'm missing the word.
Disintegrate it or
Not disintegrate,
destroy
but
it.
yeah, no, not destroy. What's the opposite of entangled?
Of entangled?
Hmm?
Unentangled?
Yeah, but you know what I mean, that you do not just cut it, you slowly but surely and with a lot of patience, you get it completely out of the counterpart. But you
Right.
take your time, and it goes,
Mhm.
bit by bit by bit until it's completely loosened, and then there is nothing that can grow back.
Well, the key thing is intention. So, but yeah, you're right. You have to have the knowledge to know what to make the intention about, right? If you do the wrong thing, if you intend the wrong thing, then it won't be quite as successful.
Mhm.
So he goes and says quite a bit about don't come back here to Earth. He said you would think people would be tired of this crazy world and would want something better. Most people, though, are tricked into it. Unfortunately, as long as there are people who are easily fooled, there will always be people trying to fool them. The only way it will stop is when people stop being fooled. They're going to have to figure it out for themselves, and I damn sure wouldn't come back here for another round just to help them. The problem is that with a lot of people, the ignorance is held in place with either a religious or scientific belief system. Until people are willing to let go of their belief systems, they will keep making the same mistakes. I may have sympathy for the people who are asleep on this planet, but I wouldn't come back here to help them. In my experience, most of them are beyond help anyway, so what is the point? Most of them want to be ignorant, so they are going to have to figure it out for themselves. Personally, I don't think there is any reason good enough to ever come back here. I guess some people might come here because they want the challenge, but if you ask me, those people are out of their minds. One of the problems of being an omnipotent being is boredom. I mean, just look at Q on Star Trek. He was always doing something crazy to keep himself entertained. Still, given the choice between boredom and pain, I would pick boredom every time. Coming here because you're bored is like sticking a fork in a wall outlet because you're bored. I wouldn't come here because boredom is better than pain any day. If you do get bored, there are plenty of things you can do over there. Being dead is a huge weight off your shoulders. You can do whatever you want when you want. You don't need food, water, shelter, etc., which means you don't need money, which means you don't have to be a wage slave. It's total freedom. You also don't get tired. The reason most people have difficulty manifesting what they want is because they don't have enough energy. All the fears and worries that you have to deal with in this world just goes away. There's only one thing that you really have to watch out for, and that's the recycling crew. Aside from them, though, it's total paradise. I've had a lot of success in handling them. These guys are not all powerful. They operate through deception because that is the only way they could hope to control anyone in the astral. They are able to not only fool near death experiences, but also people who have out of body experiences. They are very skilled at deception. They use people's ignorance to manipulate them. There are ways to deal with it. The easiest, of course, being just to teleport out of there. You can't erase someone's memories if they don't want you to. I can still resist the memory wipe. They try to force the issue. I'm well prepared to defend myself, and I have a lot of experience in that department. Besides, they'd have to catch me, and since I can fly and teleport and run like the Flash, that would not be easy. I have spent years training during lucid dreams and OBEs for the day I drop dead, and when that day comes, I will be ready. I was having a dream and I ended up in some kind of reincarnation line. How foolish and stupid all these people were. I start feeling myself shifting into the body of an infant. I'm like, hell no, I'm not doing this. And with all my willpower, stood my ground and refused to reincarnate. I teleported to another area of the line and I held the intention that I'm never reincarnating. After that, I didn't have any trouble. Teleport out of there and go somewhere else. If you're smart, you won't come back to this screwed up world. I've been to hell more than 15 times, and it's paradise compared to this place. If you like worlds that are like this, find one where you won't be memory wiped and where you can just leave whenever you're tired of it, without having to off yourself. But don't come back here. You can eat and drink in the astral. You don't have to because it isn't necessary to keep you alive like in the physical world, but you can nonetheless. So you can still enjoy all your favorite foods over there. And as an added bonus, you can eat as much as you want and won't get fat. If you can manifest anything you want, so you can just make your favorite food appear right in front of you. So everything that you can do here, you can do over there. And everything that you can't do here, you can do over there. So I really see no reason to ever come back here. If you want to end up in a world free from the bad guys, you can create your own world and raise its frequency. At a certain point, it will become incompatible with their frequency and they won't be able to get there. And then you can live in your own paradise and never have to worry about this screwed up world again.
Mhm. I
So
have
that's
one
his advice
question.
on
What
that.
what do you know what he means when he says, "I have been to hell"?
Yeah, he probably set the intention that he wanted to see what hell was like, and so he went there.
I
There's
think
been near death experiencers that have seen it.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't think that hell exists. I think that's yeah, a fairy tale to scare the shit out of people if you are
If
not
someone believes it
obedient.
exists,
Hmm?
I think if someone believes it exists and they've been taught their whole life, like
Hmm.
that they're going to go to hell because they're a bad person, they've done things. And I think they could literally create some kind of hell that they're in on the other
Yeah,
side. So,
okay. I'm not doubting that, but
but they're only there as long as they buy into it. At some point, they either call on the light or they decide they don't want to be there anymore. They can, like he said, uncreate it, right? You know.
mm, mm,
But there are it's a very small number of near death experiencers that even, I mean, I can only think of a handful that ever even went to a hell like place. Some of them saw like maybe 1%. Like I did a search for the word hell on the NDERF website, and it only came up in like 1% of the cases. And in all those cases, they were just kind of seeing it from a distance. They weren't there themselves, and that they said that those people were just, it's in a prison of their own making, you know.
mhm. Yeah, like
Yeah,
here.
but hell is, well, way overrated. I mean, the Bible, and people would think that, you know, most of the people are going to hell if they don't accept Jesus. And
Yeah, blah
according to
blah
near
blah.
death experiencers, that's just not the case. Anyway,
Yeah.
so he's got a good section, or a good section on navigating the astral plane and the afterlife. And
Okay.
he said, you have another question?
Wayne, 1 second.
Do reincarnate? I'm going to come back as a cat. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so where were we?
Um,
I was going to get into the section about how to navigate the astral plane and
yeah,
afterlife.
exactly.
Okay, so he says intention is how you get around in the astral. You won't come back here just because you think about it. When I'm in the astral and I want to fly or teleport somewhere, I have to actually want and intend to go there. It doesn't happen just because I think about it. I had asked him that question. I was worried about if you just think about it, are you going to end up coming back? Anyway, I think desires also plays into it. Anyway, I'm going to go on with what he said. He said, it took me a while to learn how to get around in the astral. It took a while just to learn how to fly. Now I'm pretty good at it, and I didn't learn teleportation until later. It's even easier than flying, though. The thing is, limiting beliefs will hold people back more than anything. If you believe that you can't fly or teleport, you're going to have a hard time doing it. You can go wherever you want to. You can teleport at will, either between worlds or between 2 points in the same world. They give up and they leave you alone. So you have a great deal of freedom in the afterlife. You can go wherever you want to. The physical world is unique. It's the only place where people have to deal with such insane limitations. In the afterlife, you have no limits. You can move from one world to another at will. Pretty much anything you can do here, you can do over there. You can eat, drink, have sex, get drunk, etc. You can do all the good things that people like to do here. So there's no point in coming here. The astral body is just a construct. So if it gets destroyed, you will usually go into the void. It's like a timeout zone where you can't perceive anything with your senses until you manifest a new one. I've fallen into black holes and even they couldn't hold me. It doesn't scare me because I know I can't get hurt. You also don't feel pain in the afterlife. I was able to make it stop on command. The normal way people communicate over there is telepathy. This takes two forms: telepathy with words and telepathy without words. When you don't use words, you're transferring ideas and concepts directly, and it is a very efficient way to communicate. It's also harder to lie when you're communicating like this, but not impossible. It is possible, though, to block someone from reading your mind if you don't want them to. But if you know what you're doing, you will be able to tell if they are honest or not. The higher in frequency you go, the less negative entities you will run into. It is possible to lower and raise your frequency at will. If I wanted to get into higher frequency realities, I would have to raise my frequency. You can easily leave by raising your frequency. Raise your frequency, and then you won't run into negative stuff nearly as often. So that's what he had to say about how to navigate the astral plane.
So in other
It's
words,
all through intention. And
in other words, what I hear is trust yourself. Don't limit your imagination. Don't tell yourself stories, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you do not deserve that, and things like that. And actually, you will
exactly.
be pretty fine.
If what he says is true, yeah, I think, and,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've
Yeah,
seen that
that is what
said
I
in near
take
death
away from
experiences too.
this.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there, and it's we give away all our power and with our belief systems and everything. So here's a section on creating afterlife worlds. So he says, we aren't human at all. We're not even male or female. In the end, I think we're just a point of consciousness without form that can take any form at once. The astral body is just a construct. As far as I can tell, if you leave one astral body, you just manifest another one. It's not like the physical body. We can be whatever we want to be. We could float around as a cloud if that's what we wanted to do. I've seen entities that do that. Being a cloud is awesome. I would highly recommend it. Plus, you're intangible, so nothing can touch you. And you can still move really fast as a cloud if you have to. You can create anything you can imagine over there. You can do anything you can imagine over there, and probably a lot of things you can't imagine. It's pretty mind blowing once you realize that there are almost no limits in the afterlife. There's almost nothing you can't do. In the astral, you can create whatever you want, and if you don't like it, you can get rid of it. It's easy to change one world into another in the astral. You can create some crazy stuff too. You can create people as well as environments. You can create thought forms of people and animals and creatures or pretty much whatever you want. But they're not real people and they're not self aware. They're just a program. With an entity, you sense a presence. With a thought form, you don't. People create thought forms all the time without realizing it, and those thought forms can take on a life of their own. They will then seek more of the energy that created them. So, negative thought forms will seek more negative energy. If you're in a world by yourself and you create something you don't like, you can get rid of it. But you also have to know how to counter the creations of other entities you might run into. These things aren't a problem in the astral. You can get rid of them with a single thought, but they will often feed off the energy of people in the physical world. You can end up unintentionally manifesting your worst fears. Actually, anything over there is a picnic compared to this screwed up world, but it's still not much fun. You can get rid of anything you create. So you can manifest things that are really scary, but you can just as easily get rid of them. Worlds that are created by a lot of people are harder to change. You can still change them, but as soon as you stop focusing on the changes, they revert back to the way they were. Whereas if it's just you, you can do whatever you want. He says he'd like to have his own private island. He says, I think that sounds nice. There is one place that I would like to create when I'm over there. There's a planet in Star Trek called Risa. It's a pleasure planet. The women there are stunningly beautiful, but what makes it really special is that the only thing you have to do to get laid is to show the locals a small statue. So that's the planet I would want to create. Plus, it's beautiful. It has two suns, beaches, resorts. It's the perfect vacation planet. Hell, if I vacationed there for a week, I'd need another week just to recover from the vacation. So it's a very nice place. So that's what I would create. I asked him what he would do. So that's what he said. He said, I had an OBE once where I was in one world, then I changed it to another, and it was like switching programs on a holodeck. On the subject of getting bored, you can always just memory wipe yourself so that everything is new. Memory wipes can be selective, so you can keep the important memories intact and suppress everything else. If you were going to do a selective memory wipe, you would have to make sure that your important memories are protected so that the memory wipe only affects the rest of them. So you can memory wipe yourself and watch your favorite TV show or movie over again. But as far as you're concerned, you're watching it for the first time. So if you do that, I don't think you're going to get bored. So if you use selective memory wipes so that even something you've done before is totally new because you don't remember it, then you can keep yourself entertained for a long time. And you can actually download other people's memories. If you can download memories and transfer huge amounts of information telepathically, then that totally ends the theory that the earth is a school. I've been to places that were really nice that had no negativity at all. So it's possible to have a paradise where nothing bad happens. I wouldn't have any problem being in a world where it's all positive all the time, everything being wonderful all the time. You don't necessarily have to create anything. You can go find some place that has like-minded people already there. If you find a consensus reality with nice people in it, you can band together if a negative entity shows up and get rid of it. I did have one OBE where I was in this really nice place. I could sense that this world was created for people to enjoy and be free. It had a really nice vibe to it. So you can create whatever you want to, and everyone can have their own paradise.
I
Sure,
have
you have
I
comment or
have
question
one.
about that section?
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Are
go
you
ahead.
finished?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
everything.
okay. Um, yeah. instead of creating a RISA where you can get late every 2 minutes, which I find actually, I find it a little bit childish, but yeah, whatever. And
Right.
why is nobody entertaining the idea in the Astral to destroy the Acontic control grid from there instead of getting late?
Right. That's a great question. I tried to get him to ask a bunch of questions and do stuff over there, but he seemed more preoccupied with having these fun superhero battles with all the entities and stuff. But yeah, it's much easier from over there, I think, to affect the physical world. I think it would be, yeah, it'd be a worthwhile cause to do. But the only problem with that is you're kind of setting your intention back towards this place, which I don't. I think my goal is just to forget about this place altogether. But I don't want to be waxing nostalgic about things, here. And it's like, gee, I really wish I had another, piece of chocolate pie on Earth, and boom, back I come. And there was an indie ear I read the other day where they said that they had a wish or a desire about something on Earth, and boom, immediately they were coming back. I guess you could probably set another wish to counteract it, maybe, but yeah. But no, your point's very valid. I agree.
Yeah, because band together and just take it out. Blast through it.
Yeah.
And
totally.
Nothing is left.
I'm with you.
Oh, there you go. End of story. That was your recycling farm. And now
but if you still have billions of souls here on Earth that have set that intention and mindset that they deserve to be here, they want to be here. I mean, it's just
too bad.
Your one single wish or thought or intention up against billions of ones that are offsetting that or counteracting it. So maybe you can only get so much mileage over there. I don't know. So he did mention voids. He says there's another state where all of your senses shut off and you're just alone with your own thoughts. This is commonly called the void. You can end up here if your astral body is destroyed, which doesn't happen that often. When you're in the void, it's like you're the only thing that exists. But when you are seeing and interacting with the world, it's just a projection. As for voids, yeah, they can be scary or they can be nice. It mostly depends on your state of mind. So he hasn't really talked much about voids. I get the feeling he hasn't really been in them too often. And then he re-emphasizes the importance of intention or willpower. He said they really can't force you to do anything. They can try to influence you, but if your will is strong, it won't work. It's sheer force of will. If your will is strong, they're going to have a very hard time influencing you. It takes willpower to do that, just through sheer force of will. The stronger your will is, the less effective the memory wipe is. It's like the Jedi mind trick only works on the weak mind. I'm just strong-willed by necessity. So I asked him how he developed it, being have such a strong will, and he said he's just strong-willed by necessity. So then he talks about this new energy that's coming in that's replacing the old system. He said, I can feel some kind of positive energy. I don't know what it is or where it's coming from, but it's there. And it's not just me who's feeling it. Other people have told me they feel the same thing. So if there's some kind of new energy coming in, it could undermine their system. This new energy that is hitting Earth, it's really powerful, positive energy. This energy is only getting stronger and stronger. And my guess is that once the new energy is stronger than the old energy, the whole system will fall apart. It feels like all the programs and illusions of the matrix are slowly being eroded away. It's like the veil is getting thinner and thinner. It feels like the frequency of the planet has been raised. It comes in waves, but it seems to be present more and more. The old energy is chaos, conflict, fear, etc., and the new energy is harmony and peace. Eventually, all the problems that you see in the world are just going to be gone because this new energy doesn't support that. Eventually, it will crumble and collapse, and the world will be much better off. The new world is going to be total paradise compared to the old one. So the demiurge is losing this war, and it is preparing for its last stand. So it's probably going to get crazy, but we will win in the end, and we will see the beginning of a new golden age. I know it's not fun, but think about what the outcome of all this will be: a world without negativity, no more war, disease, poverty, etc. I'd say that's worth having to deal with some negative emotional baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So do you
Go ahead.
think that he is, and when he talks about this energy, might that be something what other people call the upcoming timeline split?
I actually started talking about that. We can get that in a little bit, but like Dolores Cannon and some of these other people, it could be very well. I don't know. She just feels this new energy, and it's very positive, and it's kind of coming in and overtaking the old system. So it could, yeah, it could split, and we have like a quote unquote new world. I don't know. But he emphasizes reprogramming the matrix with small groups. He says, I've been experimenting with manipulating the grid. I've been practicing manipulating energy and reality, and I can actually make small areas of the physical world less dense. I did that today, and I felt like I was walking on air. I had to maintain laser focus to defy it and get less dense, but I was able to get really less dense, so much so that I could feel the energy in my physical body becoming less dense and move further apart. You can also make a small area of the physical world a lot less dense and do some really crazy stuff like grow arms and legs. That would take a lot of energy because the more you defy the matrix AI, the more energy it takes. So it would be easier with a group of people. If millions of people knew how to do this, we could reduce the density of the physical world so that we can use our godlike abilities. Their system of control would be gone by morning. I can actually manipulate energy enough to reverse the aging process. Just spend a few minutes imagining yourself at a younger age. It really does work. So if people would wake up, we could reprogram the matrix into a paradise. Once enough people wake up, we can free ourselves and reprogram the physical world into a paradise. The grid is programmed by intention, so we can reprogram the grid to change reality. So the grid is the key to changing the matrix. Small groups of people in small areas could reprogram or remove the grid and make the physical world like an astral world. They could create paradise on earth in small areas. The veil is what pulls us back. Otherwise, we could go over to the astral and stay for as long as we want. I scanned the veil with my psychic abilities. It's getting weaker and thinner. It used to be a much more powerful energy field, but it's considerably weaker than it was the last time I scanned it. So the veil is coming down. This could also be one reason why my psychic abilities are going through the roof. The veil is thinning, and the programs and illusions are much easier to see through. I've learned that negative energy is why the physical world is so dense. I conjured up some positive energy and started neutralizing negative energy, and I felt a lot less dense. So, this is the key. If we can neutralize negative energy and start putting out positive energy, we can make reality less dense enough to use our godlike abilities. A small group of people could do this in a small area. The trick is to remove all the negative energy from a small area, which will make it less dense and make it, he said, you have to completely clear a small area of negative energy. Not an easy thing to do, considering the AI will just try to move more negative energy into the area through the grid, but it can be done. We can clear out small areas with small groups of people, make it less dense enough to use our godlike abilities. It's possible to affect this world, and there have been studies done where a small group of people working together can make significant changes. The more people, the more they're able to affect things. One person can influence reality, but it takes more time. People who practice magic are probably the best at doing this. This world is just a much denser and slowed down version of the astral. And he talks about how to get rid of dense energy. He said it just takes focused intention. Just repeat the words less dense for a few minutes and you'll start getting less dense. Use the intention and remove dense energy to clear out the dense energy that makes up your physical body and your energy field. It also helps to do this on a high vibration because you're more out of phase with the low frequency matrix control system and matrix AI. And clearing the negative energy from your energy field also helps because that weighs you down. I can sense that the physical world is artificially dense because of an energy field that makes things dense. I can make small areas of the physical world less dense using focused intention. Just repeat the phrase less dense or neutralize dense energy field. It takes 5, 10, maybe 20 minutes. Though a lot of people probably wouldn't take as long. Dozens or hundreds of people could make larger areas less dense. Millions of people could make the entire planet less dense. Once it's a lot less dense, we can use our godlike abilities that we have in the afterlife. Doesn't have to be done on that large of a scale. Dozens or hundreds of people could make reality less dense in a smaller area, and then manifest what they want out of thin air. At that point, the elite wouldn't stand a chance of being able to control us, and their system would fall. This is the end game, and this is how we win. If people figure out that it isn't physical and it's really just energy, they may try to manipulate it with their mind. And if they learn to make it less dense, it could bring down the control system. Think what could be accomplished if you make reality so much less dense that you can manifest objects out of thin air. We can start to end poverty, disease, famine, etc. We can make food out of thin air. Also, once people do this, they will no longer have to work. They won't need money. Instead of houses being built, they will just be manifested out of thin air. The elite system of control relies on scarcity and can't withstand people using their godlike abilities. But if we make the physical world less dense enough, we can do crazy things like flying, teleportation, telekinesis, shape-shifting, manifest objects, etc. Things we can do in the astral. We can bring an end to poverty, disease, war, famine, etc. I just did an experiment to see if I could actually jump through the veil, and I felt myself phasing out of the physical world and into the astral. Use intention to remove as much dense energy from your physical body as you can to make it more thought responsive. Then raise your vibration high as you end up in a nice astral life world instead of a scary one. The rest of us will leave the matrix and leave them to their slavery and go do something more fun in the afterlife.
Yeah, that is what I
So
always
then the
said.
last section.
We can do it ourselves, and we do not have to wait for Trump to come back in 2020.
Right.
Actually, it's almost ridiculous how stubborn we are, that we are not seeing it, that we are not doing it, that we are not using our power, and instead rely on some type of savior figure that might never come.
It's like they've got a spell on the whole world, and like the Wetico, the mass psychosis, and it's crazy. Like we're sleepwalking through all of this. It's amazing. You're right. I can't believe it's we haven't already done this, mind-boggling. So he says, I think it may be possible to jump the physical body to the other side of the veil and be free of the physical world. I can make my physical body a lot less dense than it normally is. I could probably do even more, but the AI fights me when I do it and tries to make me more dense, but I can override it. So if I can do that, why not jump to the other side of the veil? Then you're no longer under the control of the AI and you can go where you want to from there. You can't come to the physical world unless you reincarnate, but the rules in the astral are nowhere near as strict. So we can go over there and a lot easier than they can come here. So we could theoretically jump the physical body to the other side of the veil. It seems physical because that's an illusion created by energy fields. So once you jump your physical body to the astral, you're beyond the reach and control of the AI that runs the matrix. And from there, you can go and do whatever you want. The AI would try to fight you, but overriding it long enough to make the jump should be pretty easy, especially with a group of people. A group of people could do this much more easily than an individual, but I think an individual could do it too. So if people want out of the matrix, this is one way out. He said, I recently acquired the ability to sense timeline shifts. I got sucked down to a really negative timeline. I tried to manifest an energy field to shift to a positive timeline and it worked. But because I have so much bad karma, the matrix tried to violently shift me to a negative timeline. So I'm getting rid of the bad karma and I'm going to shift to a positive timeline. Once I clear the bad karma and shift the house and people I care about to a positive timeline, the entity won't be able to harm us because he won't be able to exist on the super positive timeline. I modified my energy field to keep him out. I was messing with something I shouldn't have and got hit with a lot of bad karma. It sent me to a negative timeline, a really negative timeline. So he says, I asked him how to do it, sort of, and he said, just do it slowly. But anyway, that's pretty much everything up to date. I don't know about the karma thing, I guess if you believe in the karma, it can affect you, but I think maybe he means consequences, just things that you've done have a cause and effect, maybe.
If we understand it as the original term, the principle of cause and effect, okay, I'm on board.
Right.
But the second it gets this, what you get in church as well. You take your first breath as an infant and right away you are a sinner. Because we tell you.
Right. Yeah, that's just crazy. It's a very negative teaching is that you're born in sin and you're just these nasty, human beings that are in need of saving, you know, and of course God can do. I like the thing George Carlin said, where he said that you know, God created this hell that he's got. Like, if you're not perfect and you don't do everything he says to do, he's created this place where he can send you where there's tormenting and anguishing and all this stuff, but he loves you. He loves you. And it's just so contradicting, you know. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very distorted. Personally, I said it many times, I don't think that any of the religions that we have will bring us to the true creator. I don't think.
I agree. It's got to be done from within, and you can manifest whatever you want, you know. But each one of them have a teaching that will, like even in the Tibetan Buddhism and stuff, where the belief in the bodhisattva, becoming bodhisattva and coming back until every last soul is freed and all. I mean, that's a very limiting belief, in my opinion. So
Yes,
I don't know.
Of course, and you know what? The crazy thing is, for you to be a bodhisattva, there have to be enslaved human beings.
There have to be people that need saving, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you set that intention, I want to be a bodhisattva to come and save billions of souls. Well, you just, with that intention, manifested a billion souls that are suffering and in need of saving. It's like a vicious circle, you know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that was the last belief structure that I ditched many years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
Right, me too. I had a progression, probably the same one as you and many others, you know.
Yeah.
I started out by my parents sent me to catechism as a Catholic, you know. So I got a good dose of that "you're an evil sinner" stuff, you know.
Yeah. What
you
a
have to override it. You have to deprogram yourself, basically.
Yeah. What a wonderful way to mess up a young mind. Yeah. Tell them from the get-go, you're a sinner, and if you do not this and that and that and this, then God will punish you.
Right.
Forever.
Right. And they didn't. And in the 10 Commandments, he just seemed to forget about slavery, right? About
you
know, I don't know. 10's a nice round number, right? It's easy to remember. But anyway, I don't want to be construed as being like a hate speech against Christianity, you know, in this new world. It's just not my bag.
No. Look, I talk to Christians. I have them on my channel, and I think they have wonderful research. Yeah, of course, it is through that lens. Yeah. And I'm aware of that, but you know, you don't have to excuse yourself because you are a Christian or a Buddhist.
I think the Gnostic Christians got a lot more of it correct. I mean, they were basically two competing groups at the same time in like middle of the 2nd century or whatever, and it goes back further than that. But and basically they were eliminated. Their teachings were destroyed, and you know, I guess might makes right, and you know, they destroyed them, and now that's what we have for mainstream Christianity is what's some of these teachings that aren't quite correct, you know, the way I would put it. But I think in Gnostic Christianity, they did talk about a matrix and a demiurge and archons and a lot more. A lot of stuff was eliminated from the Bible that people have today.
Yeah, that's you know, that is so the Council of Nicaea, where they determined which books go into the Bible and which books do not. Yeah, why should I trust that?
Right. So like the Gospel of Thomas and the Secret Book of Mark, and there's a lot of Gnostic texts, like even the Pista Sophia, that, I mean, they're just wow, mind opening, you know, compared to all the stuff that I had been told, you know. They kind of left out part of the story.
Yeah. Did he? Yeah, probably not. Did he in any way, shape, or form talk about alternate realities? You know, this theory that you make a decision and then
it splits universe. Yeah. No, other than jumping timeline shifts, and no, he hasn't mentioned anything along those. But I was thinking very deeply the other day about because I really struggle with the notion of free will and what causes me to have thoughts and impulses. Where do those impulses come from? And if we all did start from this one monad, then maybe I'm just following through on the impulses I get from that one awareness. And so I was thinking, but then how does that one awareness, how did it have an impulse to have a desire to want to split and, experience itself from all these different perspectives? And I started thinking, well, maybe it's just every possible possibility is out there and is just gone through, which means there's many realities that are way better than this, and then there could be some that are even more horrific than this, So
Yeah,
but
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 I
that
would
kind of
like
ties
to
in with the
know,
splitting of realities.
but I would like to know, if that is true, that all possibilities have to play out. What is the mechanism? Who or what is
Right.
deciding who gets to play out the shit show, and who gets the goodies and who gets the intermedium thing? So there are a lot of questions, I guess, that need to be asked. If they can be answered, I don't know. But
And the song that
with
came to
that
me
theory as
was
it stands,
was
I'm
what.
not really happy with that.
No, I'm not happy with anything, to be honest. I thought, but the thing that comes to mind is this song. I don't know, it was like the '80s or something, but Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians, he had this song called "What I Am," and it's like where she talks about religion's a smile on the dog and philosophy is a walk on a slippery rock. And in the end, the chorus basically is what I am is what I am. Are you what you are or what? And it's like in the end, we're just dogs trying to figure out calculus. I mean, I don't know if there's any way we can figure out from that high level when we're down here. And in the end, we are what we are, and there's not much we can do at this point right now I mean, you can work like with some of the things we've talked about in this interview, but ultimately, I don't know that we can ever know the ultimate truth. And to me, the biggest truth is that it's like a dream and it's imagination, and we can manifest whatever we want. And we need to get rid of that subconscious limiting belief systems that we have and take control of our own destiny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say it is high time to do that.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. But
Yeah,
hopefully these will be some this is food for thought and some tips and tricks on to get people in the right direction. It's not meant to be the final and say of everything.
No, of course not. These are the experiences of one individual, and they may or
Right.
may not help somebody.
Right.
Yeah, but ditching our rigid belief structures, that's a biggie. And not only
It's
religion, that is politics and financial, media,
everything.
what have you. Yeah. Yeah.
And just like you were saying earlier, like I think you said it, but like self-doubt and beating yourself up and having, not giving yourself enough credit or not even believing you have the freedom or ability to do certain things. That's another big, and of course that's been shoved down our throats since day one too, is that you just,
Yeah.
you can't do everything, you're just some weak person.
Yeah, exactly.
Christianity does a good job of implanting that one in you.
Yeah, but
Right.
he said a lot of things that I felt for a long time, that it really has a lot to do with our intention, that we have to trust ourselves, that we should stop beating ourselves up, that we should smash our rigid belief structures and so on and so forth, and and go for it.
Yeah, almost everything he said resonated with me, almost so much that it felt like it was me writing it. I mean, I've been saying 90% of the stuff all along anyway, but when he started talking about sensing these different energy fields that create the matrix and how he's able to see it, I mean, I don't know, only he knows whether he can actually see it or sense it, or if he has these psychic abilities or all these OBEs, but I'll trust him at his word. And so I felt that it's just another angle that just kind of verifies or confirms what we've been saying for a while.
Yeah.
From I mean, not just near-death experiencers, but there's also out-of-body experiencers. I mean, even recently, Courtney Brown of the Farsight Institute, I think it is. He's a remote viewer, and has this section, this video or something on the white light trap and all this stuff. So almost every endeavor or field of research, I mean, a lot of almost the big heavyweights are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So
there you have
go
it.
to the white light at your own risk is all I have to say.
Yeah. So that was it, Night Flight for today. You have an idea how to navigate the afterlife, the astral. If those ideas do not sit well with you, you can dismiss that, no problem. So
Right,
thank you
well
very
said.
much for coming, Wayne. And yeah,
thank you for having me.
and we see you on next time. And until then,
All right.
have a great life.
All right.
Stay
Hope
safe.
it helped.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.